Alright, welcome back. So for today we're just gonna do a bit more of refactoring, and I'm just gonna make it a little quick, a little easy. So we're here, what we want is to decouple a little bit more of the components. So in our case, where we had about these classes, and we had a function called shoot and a function called object in area and AI state, we also have our update and we have our initialization. Now, what we want is the shooter AI to just be handling the AI. So technically speaking, the shooter AI should only be handling the state, or if you want to make it a little bit more advanced, a behavior tree. But for now, it should only be handling what state the object should be at, while the shoot and the detection should be in a different class. So for that, I just made a header, called it AI components. I might as well make like a .cpp and like extend it to another file. But basically inside here, what we're gonna do is we are going to add the detection, which is going to be this stuff and this stuff, because they're both detections technically. This one's a viewing detection and this one is a full trigger detection. And then another thing we're going to add is the gun handler, which should just take care of the shoot. Now if you're someone who's less lazy, or someone who's a bit smarter than me, not really less lazy but more like smarter, we already had a gun handler, right? And over here, what we could do is we could technically refactor the gun handler just a little bit, right? And we could use it as a component, and we could give it both to our AI and our computer, or like our character, and then we could just use it. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it because I'll change it later. But for now, let's just leave it so we can actually see what the way it's looking at. And let me just fill this up and I will be right back. Alright, with everything away and fixed, refactored a bit. So what we did was we moved all the main stuff inside these two classes. So I added a few stuff here. First things first, a constructor with a physical trigger node, main object node, a view position node, a field mask, and a field distance and a mask. Then a calculate view, so it calculates everything. So if we were to do it side by side, I'll show you after. Then there's a render, target visible, sends a boolean, and then we have all these. The name detection is just to check if the names are correct, and then dodge is just to dodge and how far away should you dodge. And then this is just a private, because this is our what do we call our callback. All right, then these are our basic calculation ones. This is our boolean. All right, because we're going to make sure that when we dodge, we make sure that we can even do something in the area. So like gets object in the area, and if we are dodging, then we actually dodge or do the dodge logic. All right, then after that we just have a few more stuff, and then the gun handler, about the same thing. We got the bullet prefab, the damage, the target, and the pointer target and the pointer gun, so where I'm going to shoot from and who I'm shooting it at. And then we got the calculate position, shoot, and render visuals, then all the stuff here. So now if we go side by side to what we just had in our shooter AI, you can see there are a few places where we're going to have like squiggly lines because I removed them from the header, and then I'm just going to clean it up later. So the first thing is the dodge area. So instead of dodge area, now we have detection area, kind of make it more descriptive. So we got that part. We're gonna do that, then we can technically just remove this, and then we can call it and re-add it. Now the next thing we do is in our update we so I'm just gonna not delete it yet. We're gonna rewrite it, and then I'll show you the difference. Then over here, where we got all the calculations, we have it all here. Then in terms of render, we have it all here. I just made it cleaner, looks a bit cleaner. Then in terms of the logic, we're gonna have everything visible in Frustum. If it's visible, it's gonna return true, so it's just gonna do this part, and then after that we can use this for our own advantage, and the rest is out of it. Then the next thing we have is dodge, which basically if it is dodging, we give it a distance, and then all the objects entered in area will already have this as a callback, and the object will already do all this. Now, here's the thing, where if it is dodging, so instead of saying inState equals dodge, we say dodging is true, we will do this. I removed the messages, so we don't really have that, and we also have everything a little bit cleaner, easier to read, so if anyone comes in and reads it, they can read it. It's better than just writing X. Now we know object about to hit, so this is the object we caught. Object about to hit, if the name is the same as that, and the object, and we're dodging, then we dodge. Okay, then for the gun handler, let's go all the way down. Right here in the gun handler, we have calculate position, which basically calculates the future point, calculates our future distance, and calculates our distance. So this saves us a bit of time, okay? Then the next thing we're gonna do in shoot is we're gonna instantiate the bullet. We're gonna give it the damage, and then we're also gonna add the object body rigid. Now for the bullet, we actually added, what do we call, right here, the bullet header in our components, so, and we removed it from here, so we don't have to call it twice. And then, so we added it, and then the whole checking. And for the target speed, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take this and put it here, and then basically then we're just gonna pass this in to our shoot function, the get speed. All right, so that's about it, and let's clean this up a bit further and make it smaller so you can see like the AI itself doesn't really have to worry about it. So now our detection maker only worries about detection. So like when you read the functions, you only have calculate view, render view, target visible in Frustum, and dodge. Dodge is automatic, you don't have to worry about it, you just have to make sure you put everything in. And then for shooter, you just have to put everything in, calculate position, and then shoot. And if you want to see the visuals, then you can see the visuals. So with that, I believe we have cleaned up a lot of stuff. So let's actually change our code, right? So in our case, what we're gonna do is, instead of having all these that I've deleted, I'm gonna clean it up a bit more, but instead of having all this, what we can have is 2 instantiation of a detection maker and an AI gun handler. The next thing we're also going to do is, with every function we have, we're going to write inline. We're also going to use detection maker, detect, we can say AI detect, and for AI gun handler, gun. I'm just going to call it gun handler. And for this, I'm just going to call it detector. So for these, we're going to actually create and instantiate an object, while for navigation maker, we will have a so-called, what do we call it, pointer. All right, so let's actually clean these things up. So the first thing I'm going to do is close the CPP, because we don't need it. So over here, what we're going to first do is we're going to do detection. So detection, or detector, equals to detection maker brackets, and we're going to add the stuff that we asked. So if I remember correctly, our field distance was about 30, and I just chose 30. In our case, we're just going to say 30, and over here our mask number is 1. Now we can always make it into a constant, and you're giving me ideas. Alright, so now that we added that, we can delete that, right? Then the next thing we can do is, easily enough, we can do a detector dot calculate view. So that's calculating view, so we can remove all that. Then in terms of visualizer, we can do a detector dot render view, and we will say true, because if it isn't true, it won't render. And then after that, we are going to we are going to add a boolean. And over here, I'm just going to add a little boolean. I'm going to call it boolean is visible, right? And it was right here, but oh well. So is visible equals to detector dot target visible in custom, and then we're going to add the target, which is going to be our main character, and then the mask is going to be mask underscore primary, and then name detection would be main character get name, if I remember correctly. Right, so what we do is, no, it's a get child get name, so that is the main difference, get child get name. So now we can remove all this, right, and we can basically do this. So now we have distance, and we have a distance factor, and we have a field distance. So field distance, I'm going to keep it right here. Distance is this, and the distance factor. Now, why we have a distance factor, if I remember correctly, I don't remember, actually. I'm not going to lie to you. Oh, it's right here. It's literally for just one function. So we're going to keep that distance factor. So we're going to say float distance factor. Okay, so it already fixed that itself. Okay, so now we have everything correctly. Let's see, do we even need to use this distance? We kind of do. So what we could do is we can create another function from detector, and we could say get distance between objects and targets. But for now, let's just keep it so it doesn't really bother me at the moment. Okay, so with that, we have done that. We can remove this whole function because it is inside detector already. Okay, and then finally we have shoot. So inside shoot, we can literally remove everything except this. So we can write double right here, and we could say double speed equals to this get speed. Then we could say where we had our gun handler. So before we do anything, let's create gun handler equals to gun handler, and let's instantiate everything. Now, just to be sure, we can go inside our enemy, get child 0 is the eyes, and that's where I want the gun to shoot from. Perfect. Okay, so we got all that gun handler correct business. So for shoot, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say gun handler dot calculate positions, gun handler dot render visuals, and then give it a true, and then mask secondary, because the mask, if I remember correctly, the mask number was 2, and Yes, so for the render visuals, the mask was definitely 2. Alright, mask secondary equals to 2. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And then we said gun handler dot shoot, and then we're going to say target speed, and we are, I'll just give it a capital S, and then we can just delete the rest of this code. Alright, so now we got everything very, very simplistic. Now you can read this and it looks much cleaner. We also have everything very, very clean and basically almost too refactored, but that's okay. So now we actually have everything cleaned up. The next thing we can do is we can refactor this, or we can make it even smaller. Now then what I missed out on was putting the path movements over here and checking all that stuff, and I think we will definitely do that for the next episode. So for now, we have refactored our detection, and we have refactored our gun handler. We also refactored our navigation and path. We will just have to implement it for next time, and I will see you then. All right, goodbye.